Okay. I hope. Yes. Alright. I do believe we are in fact live. Yep, it looks like we are. So, hello, good evening, or good morning, or good afternoon, or good whatever time of night or day it happens to be, wherever you happen to be. Welcome to Republic News with Liviana. I am your hostess, Liviana. And today's news stream is titled Lives Precincts Episode 5, We Will Bury You. So, let's just jump right into it, shall we? The first thing on the agenda for tonight is, of course, news. And so, the first news article that we have is Unloved Statue of President McKinley. And this is from roadsideamerica.com. It's talking about a statue of President McKinley in Anahata, California. President William McKinley's statue survived an earthquake in San Francisco, but it remains to be seen if it will survive another century in Anahata. The 8-foot-tall bronze statue was a gift to the city from local businessman George Zender. Famous sculptor Haig Patigian created a blocky, big-headed version of the 25th president that looks a little like Electro the Robot, who, like McKinley, was born in Ohio. Patigian had the sculpture commission completed and in a San Francisco foundry when the Great San Francisco earthquake struck on April the 18th, 1906. Zender hustled south, and in the still smoldering devastation, he managed to recover the McKinley and took it to Anahata. For most of its life, in the center of Anahata, the McKinley statue was loved, and the populace enjoyed close interactions, dressing it for the holidays or placing items in his hand or around his neck. But these days, he skews to the unloved end of the spectrum because McKinley was an imperialist, and many of the town's current resident college students aren't majoring in imperialism. The statue has been the subject of petitions to demand its removal and has repeatedly been dressed in humiliating outfits. When vandals stuffed McKinley's nose and ears with cheese, it was national news. One grayish Pacific Coast morning, we were the only ones in the park taking notice of the centrally positioned imperialist. The picturesque palm trees might cause an observer to remember McKinley's grab of islands from the Hawaiian people or his annexation of lands after the Spanish-American War. The statue seems to be on a high enough perch to discourage casual defacers whose unkempt hair and backpack straps might fatally entangle on his outstretched arms. So, wow. Goodness gracious. Oh my, we're not majoring in imperialism. Okay, well, that's great. So, let's see here. Next article that I have is a somewhat related story. I guess you could say we're on a theme. Philly's Thorfinn Karlsefni. Oh shit. Philly's Thorfinn Karlsefni statue toppled into Schuylkill River. Einar Jonsson's Thorfinn Karlsefni. Oh my gods. Karlsefni statue, weighing thousands of pounds, has stood along the banks of the Schuylkill River for nearly a century. This is from NBC Channel 10 by Dan Stam. So, what to know? Einar Jonsson's Thorfinn Karlsefni bronze statue has stood along the banks of the Schuylkill River for nearly a century. On Thursday morning, Philadelphia, this would have been last Thursday, actually, not yesterday. Yeah, the 2nd. Tuesday, I'm sorry. On Tuesday morning, Philadelphia police were called to the area just north of Boathouse Row to find the statue submerged in the water. The 7-foot 4-inch Viking bronze statue stood on a large granite base north along Kelly Drive. Jesus Christ. It was pulled from the river Tuesday evening. So, a 7-foot 4-inch Viking statue, its head knocked off, was hauled out of Philadelphia's Schuylkill River Tuesday evening after vandals toppled it overnight, police said. It remains unclear who pulled the bronze off its perch along Fairmount Park's Kelly Drive and then dragged it into the river. No suspects were identified, but a crowbar was found at the scene. Philadelphia police were called to the banks of the Schuylkill River just north of Boathouse Row around 2:30 a.m. Tuesday to find the Thorfinn Karlsefni statue submerged in the murky river. The statue, which features an Icelandic explorer thought to have visited America more than a millennium ago, has stood along the river for nearly 100 years. The city hired a restoration firm to bring Thorfinn Karlsefni back to life, officials told NBC 10. The firm previously restored Center City's famous Love statue. People exercising... I don't even know how to turn off these Facebook dings. It's very annoying. The city hired a restoration firm to bring Karlsefni back to life, officials told NBC 10. The firm previously restored Center City's Love statue. People exercising along Kelly Drive before daybreak Tuesday stopped to take photos of the damaged, nearly granite base where the statue once stood. Philadelphia detectives also stopped by to snap photos and look for surveillance video that could help them track down the person or people responsible for the vandalism. It appeared the statue was pulled off its massive stone base, which measures 12 by 12 feet wide. Bits of stone were scattered across drag marks on the ground, and the bronze could be seen bubbling underwater in the river. A police marine unit assessed the sunken situation. A crane was then needed to retrieve the statue, which weighs several thousand pounds, said Doug Martinson, who was tasked with renovating the statue after previous vandalism. The recovery effort could wind up costing thousands of dollars. As the sculpture came out of the water, it was headless. Einar Jonsson forged the statue in 1918, and the city installed it in 1920. The statue was commissioned by the Fairmount Park Art Association, now the Association for Public Art, and J. Bunford Samuel. It is one of dozens of statues lining the Schuylkill River north of Boathouse Row. The statue has been the site of past white nationalist demonstrations around Leif Erikson Day, which honors the Norse explorer of the same name every October the 9th, and counter-protests. The statue was also spray-painted in the past. Now, it's quite interesting, all this iconoclasm that we've seen pertaining to historical statues like this. Of course, you have the issue of the Confederate statues, which has been ongoing for the past few years. Now, it looks like anybody who ever did anything that anybody didn't like is going to be decommemorated because of political correctness. So our next story is going to look into the past again. We've talked about McKinley, and we've talked about Thorfinn Karlsefni. Now, from the Independent last Wednesday, Bronze Age saw flourishing drug trade. Opium discovered in ancient vase reveals. It says, findings add fuel to long-standing debate about true purpose of containers. This is by Harry Cockburn. The opium trade was flourishing in the eastern Mediterranean as far back as 3,600 years ago, according to scientists who have found deposits of the drug in late Bronze Age vases. Researchers at the British Museum and the University of York found opium alkaloids preserved inside a Cypriot base-ringed juglet from the museum's collection. The first time dependable chemical evidence has been produced to link the opium poppy with the distinctive containers which were widely traded in the area between 1650 and 1350 BC. Though the juglets have long been associated with opium due to their distinctive shape when inverted, which resembles a poppy seed head, no definitive proof of this connection had been found despite several previous attempts. The design of the base-ringed juglet is believed to have been a form of Bronze Age branding for commercial purposes. Recent work had questioned the association between the vessel and opium, with alternative theories suggesting they could have contained aromatic oils. But the museum said the discoveries from this juglet could be consistent with either theory, as the opium alkaloids were detected in a residue of degraded plant oil. This might mean that the juglet held poppy seed oil rather than pure opium. The discovery of the oil, quote, implies that the substance was not consumed as a narcotic, but instead used for anointing or perfumery, in which the psychoactive properties of the opium ingredient might only have symbolic significance, end quote, the museum said. Dr. Rebecca Stacey, who led the work at the British Museum, said, quote, "It is important to remember that this is just one vessel, so the result raises lots of questions about the contents of the juglet and its purpose. The presence of the alkaloids here is unequivocal and lends a new perspective to the debate about their significance. The team now wants to apply their techniques to other examples." Professor Jane Thomas Oates, head of the Center of Excellence in Mass Spectrometry at the University of York, said, quote, "We've established a rigorous method for detecting opiates in this kind of residue. The next analytical challenge is to see if we can succeed with less well-preserved residues," end quote. The juglet is a, quote, "very rare example of a sealed vessel with contents preserved inside," the museum said. This exceptional preservation combined with a newly developed analytical method were both key to the success of the research team. Hartwig Fisher, director of the British Museum, said, quote, "We are always looking to learn new details from the past, and our scientific research team take a dynamic approach to learning from our collection. Thanks to a collaboration with our colleagues at the University of York, we have unlocked new information from this historic object that I am delighted we are sharing with the public today." So, now then, let's keep going here. We've got the next item. The next item in our news is having some buffering issues, it seems. Nothing out of the ordinary, unfortunately. Yes, but the next item in the news today comes from CNN. Trump's UN ambassador Nikki Haley resigns. This was published on the 9th, this Tuesday, the 9th of October 2018. And and the author, the article is by Jamie Gangel, Jeremy Diamond, Kevin Liptak, Elise Labat, and Zachary Cohen. Washington. President Donald Trump announced on Tuesday that U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations Nikki Haley has resigned and will leave her post by the end of the year. Sitting side by side in the Oval Office, Trump praised Haley as a fantastic person who has done an incredible job and said he would gladly welcome her back into his administration down the line. Trump said, quote, "She's done a fantastic job, and we've done a fantastic job together. We've solved a lot of problems, and we're in the process of solving a lot of problems. She told me probably 6 months ago, maybe at the end of the year, at the end of the 2-year period, but by the end of the year I want to take a little time off. I want to take a break," end quote. However, a source familiar with the situation told CNN that Haley notified Trump about her decision last week and did not tell Secretary of State Mike Pompeo or White House National Security Advisor John Bolton. Both Bolton and Pompeo were surprised by the announcement, a source familiar told CNN. Officials inside the White House who had little indication Haley was resigning on Tuesday are questioning her timing. While Trump said she told him 6 months ago she wanted time off, there are questions among senior administration aides about why Haley chose this moment 4 weeks before midterms and right after a bruising political battle involving gender to take her leave. One official says there was little coordination on the announcement, and sources tell CNN that almost all senior administration officials found themselves caught off guard by the announcement. Still, Trump lavished praise on Haley during the Oval Office event, saying she has, quote, been very special to me, end quote, and calling her, quote, somebody that gets it, end quote. The president also said Haley could have her pick of administration posts if she ever decides she wants to rejoin his administration. Trump said as Haley smiled broadly, quote, "We're all happy for you in one way, but we hate to lose. Hopefully you'll be coming back at some point, but in a different capacity. You can have your pick," end quote. Yet, in the wake of her resignation, two sources familiar with Haley's relationship with Trump told CNN that she had lost clout with the president in recent months. When Rex Tillerson was still Secretary of State, Trump sought out Haley's advice often, and she was regularly seen in the Oval Office. But with Pompeo in that role, and with Bolton serving as National Security Advisor, Haley has seen her time within the former, with the president diminish, sources said. The president said he plans to name a successor for the U.S.'s top diplomatic post at the United Nations in 2 to 3 weeks. Trump has a working list of contenders to succeed Haley, but has not shared it widely with even the most senior White House officials. One senior White House official told CNN. Let's see. He plans to work through it and seek advice from advisors as he works to make a decision in the coming weeks, the official said. Among the names floated as possible replacements for Haley are Trump's former Deputy National Security Advisor Dina Powell, U.S. Ambassador to Germany Richard Grenell, and Senior Advisor and daughter of the President Ivanka Trump. Trump told reporters on the South Lawn hours after the announcement, quote, "We actually have many names," end quote. Trump later said on Air Force One during his trip to Iowa that he has 5 people on his short list to replace Haley, but Grenell is not among them. He said, quote, "He is doing so well in a position that is so important. Rick is doing so well that I wouldn't want to move him. I'd personally rather keep Rick where he is," end quote. Powell was with Haley in South Carolina over the weekend, according to a photo posted to her Twitter feed. A source who talked to the president in the last week about replacing Haley told CNN that the Trump Jesus fuck mentioned he likes Dina a lot. While speaking to reporters on the South Lawn of the White House Tuesday, Trump said he is considering, quote, "numerous people," end quote, including Powell, whom he said is under consideration. Grinnell was confirmed as ambassador to Germany in April, but he also served as the U.S. spokesman and political appointee at the UN from 2001 to 2008. A source familiar with discussions told CNN that Ivanka Trump laughed Tuesday morning when she heard about the speculation that she would replace Haley. However, Trump later told reporters that his daughter would be, quote, "incredible," end quote, as U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, but said he would be, quote, "accused of nepotism," end quote, if he appointed her to succeed Haley. Trump said, quote, "I've heard a lot of names. I've heard Ivanka. How good would Ivanka be? I think Ivanka would be incredible, but it doesn't mean I'd pick her because I'd be accused of nepotism, even though I'm not sure there's anybody more competent in the world," end quote. He then said his daughter would be, quote, "dynamite," end quote, as UN ambassador. Soon after the president's remarks, Ivanka Trump took to Twitter to rule herself out of the running. Quote, "It is an honor to serve the White House alongside so many great colleagues, and I know that the president will nominate a formidable replacement for Ambassador Haley. That replacement will not be me," end quote. Haley called serving as the UN ambassador an honor of a lifetime, but added that it was time for her to depart the administration. Quote, "There's no personal reason, and it's very important for government officials to understand when it's time to step aside. I want to make sure this administration, this president, has the strongest person to fight," end quote, she said. But a source familiar with the issue told CNN that financial considerations did come into play for Haley, something she alluded to in her resignation letter dated October 3rd, a copy of which was obtained by CNN. With one child in college and another heading there soon, Haley felt like she needs to make some money, the source said. Sitting alongside Trump in the Oval Office Tuesday, Haley went on to praise the current administration's foreign policy, saying, quote, "The U.S. is respected. Countries may not like what we do, but they respect what we do," end quote. She also complimented members of Trump's team, including senior advisors Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump. She said, quote, "Jared is such a hidden genius that no one understands. We're a better country because they're in the administration," end quote. In response to the news, Ivanka Trump tweeted out kind words about Haley, saying, quote, "Ambassador Haley has served America with dignity, distinction, plus distinction. She is a bold reformer and has been an unwavering champion of truth, principled realism, and integrity within the United Nations," end quote. Haley sought to tamp down a speculation that she may challenge President Trump in 2 years. She said, raising the topic unprompted, saying she knew it would likely arise, quote, "No, I am not running for 2020, end quote. She went on to say, quote, "I can promise you what I'll be doing is campaigning for this one," end quote. So, I mean, this goes on a little bit longer. It tells a little bit about her history and so forth, but I think we've read enough of that for the moment. But there is a related article also talking about the UN, which we are going to now dive into, and that is let's see. if I can get this to open. Yeah. U.S. votes against UN resolution condemning gay sex death penalty, joining Iraq and Saudi Arabia. This is from the Independent. America, one of 13 countries on the Human Rights Council to oppose the historic vote. I kept thinking that the United States... Oh, this is from the 3rd of October last year. Ah, I see. So, this is old news. Well, I apologize for this. It was passed across my desk, and I thought it was new news. But anyway, yeah, I was about to say I thought the United States had left the UN Human Rights Council. So I'm going to just skip that and continue. Now, I know a number of people have already talked about this. I know Monday Matt Jarbo, talked about it just a few days ago, and I've posted a link to his video in which he discussed it in various places. But it's interesting enough. I'd like to talk about it myself. From the Toronto Sun on the 6th of October by Jane Stevenson. Man accused of kicking woman at anti-abortion rally faces a slew of assault and mischief charges. A man allegedly caught on viral video doing a roundhouse kick and striking a woman in the shoulder during an anti-abortion rally, knocking her phone out of her hand, has been arrested by Toronto police. Jordan Hunt, 26 of Toronto, surrendered to police on Saturday. He faces 8 counts of assault and 7 counts of mischief under $5,000 relating to the Life Choice demonstration last Sunday afternoon at Keele and Bloor Streets. Constable David Hopkinson confirms the mischief charges relate to posters defaced with a magic marker, while the 7 other counts of assault, besides the one stemming from the purported roundhouse kick, are a result of Hunt allegedly scribbling on clothing of protesters. Hunt has also been charged with 1 count of assault in a separate incident on August 2nd, however. Hopkinson could not confirm whether it was in relation to a second video that surfaced earlier this week showing a man who was harassing other anti-abortion protesters. In that case, police say a group of anti-abortionists were protesting around noon near Dufferin and Dundas streets when they were approached by a man on a bike who tried to grab one of their signs and then pushed a woman into a pole before fleeing the scene. Hunt, who was previously identified as a Toronto hairdresser on social media, appeared at Old City Hall Court Saturday. Police didn't know when his next appearance would be. Hunt, who deleted his social media accounts, was fired by Noble Studio 101, a hair salon near Queen Street West and Brock Avenue, who released a statement on Wednesday saying he'd, quote, been caught on camera assaulting an innocent bystander at a pro-life rally. We don't condone his actions, and he has been let go, end quote. Marie-Claire Bissonnette, the youth coordinator with Campaign Life Coalition, who had filmed the incident before the phone flew out of her hand, couldn't be reached for comment Saturday, but told the Toronto Sun earlier this week she was leading 76 people in an annual silent protest against abortion when she was allegedly attacked. She said she felt only minor pain and didn't sustain any damage to her phone. Bissonnette said she had been filming him when he allegedly began scribbling on people's signs and clothing, including that of a 10-year-old girl. Bissonnette said, quote, "It's not the first time I've experienced physical aggression from people who disagree with our message. I don't think it's acceptable to show any physical violence to anyone who disagrees with you," end quote. So I'd like to just make a few comments about this before I continue reading the news. So let me see here. My attitude toward this whole thing, and I've said before, I think everyone who is familiar with my work on the Progressive Flame or this channel, or knows me from social media, is aware that I am in fact pro-choice. I have a sort of different opinion about the matter in terms of ethics than I do in terms of socio-political attitudes. Frankly, I think that it is unethical to use abortion as a means of birth control. I have absolutely no problem with someone who's been raped or is the victim of incest or whose life is in danger, or, any one of a number of other reasons. But if it's just, I'm gonna screw around and then have an abortion, I think that's kind of, shitty. But, it's not my place to dictate to other people what they should and should not do. And therefore, on the question of whether or not that should be legal, yes, it should be. And the reason I say this is because my ethical perspective comes, at least in part, from my views, from my the teachings of my sacred tradition, the sacred tradition of my people. The Constitution, the First Amendment, has established a wall of separation between a so-called church and a state. Now, my people don't do churches. We have other places where we celebrate, but nevertheless, so I would not feel that it would be constitutional for me to impose my ethical standards upon others in connection with something where my ethic is derived from the sacred tradition of my people, because that would be a violation of the non-establishment clause of the First Amendment. So, but in all cases, I think abortion on demand should be legal. So that's just all I want to say about that. But in spite of the fact that I am pro-choice, this guy, what's his name again? Jordan Hunt, something like that. Yeah, Jordan Hunt. Man, first of all, if you came to Texas and tried to assault a woman, that woman would beat the hell out of you. Second of all, you do not resort to violence simply because someone disagrees with you, you little fucking thug. I hope they throw the book at you. I hope you spend some time in prison for this. I cannot condone this at all. In spite of me being pro-choice, I think what this guy did was asinine, inappropriate, illegal, unethical, and is just the complete opposite of anything which a modern progressive should stand for. You do not resort to violence as a political tactic. If you want to do that, you're not a progressive. You might be some kind of fucking Stalinist, but you're not a progressive. Okay? So, anyway, man, I'd kick the little fucker's ass if he did that to me. Seriously, this guy just pisses me off to no end. And, the whole thing about the polarization of our society, how we've got this kind of dichotomy where people are split into two, and it's this false dilemma or bifurcation fallacy of presenting two and only two options when more exist, when there is such a thing as nuance, when there are other positions that are available to people to choose. This is a product, as I've written about, of monopolistic dualism, which is sort of underlying ethical and metaphysical conception of our society. It needs to be undone, frankly. But, you know, there we are. The whole Antifa thing, you know, Antifa back in the 1930s was one thing, but what's going on today in the United States and the United Kingdom, that's not Antifa. And the fact is that, especially in the United States, there are people who say, well, aren't you anti-fascist? Well, sure, yeah, I'm opposed to fascism. Yes, I absolutely am. I don't support it. I would, you know, if there were some kind of war going on, yeah, I would fight against them, you know, if I had the opportunity to do so. But, yeah, it's not my thing to engage in violence against someone with whom I disagree, simply because I disagree with them. In the United States, they claim that Antifa is not actually an organization, that it's disorganized, that it's anarchist and not having any kind of structure, that all of the local chapters are independent and self-governing and so forth. Yeah, whatever, man. The problem is that there is such an overlap between Black Bloc and Antifa and BAMN, which is by any means necessary, that it's irrelevant whether or not there be any distinction between the three groups, because they overlap so much. So don't come to me and say, well, but Antifa is just these sweet little innocent do-gooders that are never going to engage in violence like that. Yeah, okay, sure. Maybe that's the case in some places, but like I said, such an overlap between them and Black Bloc and BAMN that there's no practical distinction to be made. And those other two groups, yeah, they're the ones who put on the masks and the black clothes and go out and try to bash people and beat the hell out of trash cans and break windows and set cars on fire. This is not the way to engage in political activism. This is bullshit. Anybody claiming to be an anarchist who's willing to engage in violence in order to impose their views on someone else, that's not anarchy. It's not libertarian. It's not anything of the sort. What it is intolerant fanaticism. So anyway, I think I have expressed my views on this matter sufficiently at this point, and I'm going to go on to the next article. So this is from The Hill. Trump administration predicted 7-degree increase in global temperature by 2100, by the year 2100. The Trump administration predicted in a draft environmental impact statement last month that the planet will warm 7 degrees Fahrenheit by 2100, a development that scientists say could be catastrophic. Among the consequences of such a rise, coral reefs would dissolve, oceans would become more acidic, extreme heat waves would plague the globe, and coastal cities would be at risk of being underwater, according to the Washington Post, which was the first to report on the prediction. The prediction was contained well into a 500-page draft environmental impact statement. The draft statement was written to defend President Trump's decision to freeze federal fuel efficiency standards for light trucks and cars built after 2020. It largely declared that the planet's ultimate fate was already determined and that little could be done about it. Let's see here. Michael McCracken, who served as a senior scientist at the U.S. Global Change Research Program from 1993 to 2002, told the Washington Post, quote, "The amazing thing they're saying is human activities are going to lead to this rise of carbon dioxide that is disastrous for the environment and society, and then they're saying they're not going to do anything about it," end quote. The White House did not immediately respond to requests for comments from the Hill. The statement analyzes that carbon emissions would have to be steeply cut in order to prevent the warming, adding that such an action, quote, would require substantial increases in technology innovation and adoption compared to today's levels, and would require the economy and the vehicle fleet to move away from the use of fossil fuels, which is not currently technologically feasible or economically feasible, end quote. Trump has taken a hard stance against former President Obama's policies regarding climate change, removing the U.S. from the Paris Climate Agreement and removing regulations impacting the coal industry. This is from the Hill. This is from the 28th of September. This is by Tal Axelrod. So there's that.
What we yapping about?
What are we yapping about? We're going through the news. We're talking about just now climate change. The Trump administration predicted 7-degree increase in global temperature by the year 2100. 7 degree Fahrenheit. Mark Twain once said, politicians in diapers should be changed often, and for the same reason. Yes, because they're full of shit, right? Okay, so continuing on with the news, we got some news about Microsoft Windows 10 update. Yippee. So, according to The Verge, Microsoft pulls Windows 10 October 2018 update after reports of documents being deleted. A major bug has hit some Windows 10 users. This is by Tom Warren, October the 6th, 2018. Microsoft has stopped distributing its latest Windows 10 October 2018 update. The software giant started rolling out the update. I can hear you typing.
Yeah, and so can everyone else.
I'm gonna mute you. There we go. Microsoft has stopped distributing its latest Windows 10 update, October 2018 update. The software giant started rolling out the update during the company's Surface event earlier this week, but some Windows 10 users immediately noticed their documents were being deleted. Microsoft, on its support site for Windows Update, says, quote, we have paused the rollout of the Windows 10 October 2018 update, version 1809, for all users as we investigate isolated reports of users missing some files after updating, end quote. Microsoft is now recommending that affected users contact the company directly, and if you've manually downloaded the October update, then, quote, please don't install it and wait until new media is available, end quote. Other Windows 10 users have been complaining that the Microsoft Edge browser and other store apps have been unable to connect to the internet after the October 2018 update, and the update was even blocked on certain PCs due to Intel driver incompatibilities. It's not clear how many Windows 10 users are affected by the problem, but even if it's a small percentage, it's still surprising. This issue was never picked up during Microsoft's vast testing of the October update. Millions of people helped Microsoft test Windows 10, but the company has struggled with the quality of Windows updates recently. Microsoft delayed its Windows 10 April 2018 update earlier this year over blue screen of death issues, but those problems were picked up before the update reached regular consumers and businesses. Microsoft was planning to push the latest October update out to all Windows 10 users next Tuesday, but that's now likely to be put on hold while investigations continue into this major deletion problem. Okay, so yippee-ki-yay. And then we have another article on the same issue from The Register, which is a UK paper. It says, Microsoft yanks the document destroying Windows 10 October 2018 update. This is from the 8th of October by Richard Speed in the Register. Day 4 exceeds all expectations as Microsoft steps back from brink. Microsoft has taken the unprecedented step of pulling a Windows 10 release a mere 4 days after its arrival amid a clamor of users complaining about files not being where they had left them. Windows Insider Supremo Donna Sarkar took to Twitter to announce that Windows fans would no longer be able to get their hands on the afflicted build. Redmond said the automatic rollout would also be paused until it works out just what in blue blazes is going on. Microsoft's advice to those who have downloaded the build is, for goodness sake, don't install the thing. However, if you have gone ahead and allowed the update to do its stuff and being hit by the missing files issue, leave your PC alone and give Microsoft a telephone call for help. There is a tweet from Donna Sarkar which says, #Windows Insiders. If you've run into the missing files after update issue for 1809 October 2018 fall update, please call our support line. They have the tools to get you back to a good state. This build is no longer available to download manually, and it gives a link. This was tweeted at 11 a.m. sometime zone on the 6th of October. The update made an appearance on the 2nd of October, having gone directly into the hands of users rather than spending some time in the Windows Insider release preview ring first. If you have installed it and everything is hunky-dory, as it is for us, then there is no need to worry. In her tweet, Sarkar said that the person at the other end of the phone will have, quote, the tools to get you back to a good state, end quote, presumably either a file recovery application or a handy install of Linux. At this point, we don't know. We contacted our local Microsoft support offices and found it was closed because, hey, who installs this stuff outside of office hours, right? Users in Canada have reported being instructed to take their afflicted PCs to a Microsoft store in the hope that some of their files can be restored. How that will work in regions that lack a Microsoft retail presence is unclear. Perhaps Honest Bob's Backstreet Windows Wrangler. And it goes on. There's several tweets from various people who are talking about it. Yeah. I don't know if this is something that was part of the automatic update. It looks like it was something for Windows Insiders only, but it was released to users. So I'm hoping, anyway, that it's not what they've been afflicting me with for the past few days with constant, oh, you've got to restart, update, and restart, or update and shut down. I'm like, dude, I just want to go to bed. I don't want to do this shit right now. I want to go to bed. I just want to turn off the fucking computer and go to bed. But anyway, very annoying when it happens several days in a row. Just, end of my day, I'm going to bed. Oh, you've got to do this. No, I don't want to do this. Fuck off. So there you go. Actually, I do pay attention to the antechamber. I see you talking out here. And yes, I do pay attention to the antechamber, but I'm doing a new thing now. I'm going to be doing news and then opening up to people who want to come in. So I have one more article here. Oh. Yep, I have one more article. I think, yeah. Article. Okay, so this last article is from Health Over Profit. This is an organization I'm a member of, and I take part in their, occasionally I take part. My goodness, they do them so frequently that I can't always be there, unfortunately. But Health Over Profit, also known as Health Over Profit for Everyone, is an organization which is working on universal health care in the United States. One of the founders, Dr. Margaret Flowers, is in fact a medical doctor. They've been involved in the push for H.R. 676, which was drafted after consultation with medical professionals and so forth. There are a number of other organizations which have some kind of affiliation or connection with Health Over Profit. Anyway, this is not about universal health care in the United States. However, not directly. It is an article published on the 12th, which was, today, earlier today. And it was published in Open Democracy by Jenny Shepard. A U.S.-inspired reorganization is about to hit England's NHS, National Health Service. Quote, help us stop it. End quote. NHS plans due to take effect next spring could make general health care as difficult to access as mental health care already is, and lock future governments into long contracts with private firms, warn campaigners. Members of the public, NHS campaign groups and trade unions are acting to stop NHS England from introducing a cost-cutting accountable care organization contract that will make it harder to get the health care we are entitled to. In their hundreds, they are donating to help crowdfund a legal challenge to this contract in the Court of Appeals later this autumn. The legal challenge brought by National Campaign Group 999 Call for the NHS and internationally recognized public law firm Lee Day is the only way of stopping the contract. NHS England has recently rebranded the, quote, Accountable Care Organization contract as the Integrated Care Provider contract, end quote, to avoid the USA connotations of the term Accountable Care Organization, the type of healthcare provider used by Medicare and Medicaid, which provides a limited range of health care for Americans who are too poor or ill to get private health insurance. If this contract goes ahead, clinical commissioning groups will be using it to procure a whole range of NHS services from April 2019. The Integrated Care Provider contract is not fully finalized, NHS England admitted in a recent consultation, making a mockery of the consultation itself. The contract does not even mention arrangements for integrating public health and social care with NHS services, though this is supposedly the public rationale for the change. 999 Call for the NHS say that even if they agreed with the initial premise of contracting, which they don't, they can't see that this contract is fit for the provision of social care and public health services. Why is NHS England in such a rush that it is prepared to expose clinical commissioning groups to the risks associated with procuring huge, complex 10-year contracts for a whole range of NHS social care and public health care services from a new, untried form of health care provider on the basis of an unfinished contract? Perhaps most worryingly of all, This contract would subject a whole range of NHS services to the same kind of cuts and pressures as acute mental health services, is designed to, quote, manage demand, end quote, for a whole range of NHS services in a given area in the same way as mental health services contracts already operate. Currently, in most NHS contracts, apart from mental health, a set payment is made for each treatment provided to individual patients, but the new ICP contract would pay the provider a fixed lump sum at the start of each year to cover the costs of a range of treatments for the whole population. The result of this payment arrangement for mental health services is that it is now normal for there to be no hospital beds for acute mental health patients in their own area. They are routinely taken by ambulance across the country to wherever there's a hospital bed, and at times it seems that have been no acute mental health beds free anywhere in the country, according to Mental Health Network members. This 10-year contract would lock in that payment arrangement for a whole range of NHS services. It would set in concrete new care models that are based on the USA's Medicare-Medicaid system that only provides limited health care for people who can't afford private health insurance. A new government would be powerless to stop and reverse this because the contracts would lock it in for a continuous period of 10 years. Local NHS campaigns, together with national 999 call for the NHS, are joining the dots together between the cuts that they're fighting in their areas and the contract that 999 call for the NHS are challenging in the Court of Appeal. The Court of Appeal hearing is NHS campaigners' best shot at stopping the contract that could set all these cuts and worse in stone for 10 years, imposing the same demand management payment arrangement that has been used to decimate acute mental health services. Joe Land, one of the Darlow mums who organized the 999 call for the NHS Gero to London March for the NHS in 2014, said, quote, "The Accountable Care Organization contract might seem like a dry legal issue that's hard to get bothered about. The reality is anything but. This is about whether patients can continue to access the treatments they need or whether the doctor-patient relationship will be undermined by making doctors put financial considerations ahead of patients' clinical needs," end quote. The campaign group point out that the payment arrangement in the Accountable Care Organization Integrated Care Provider contract would allow for price competition between providers when bidding for the contract. They argue this is contrary to Parliament's express intentions in passing NHS and social care legislation in 2012. In dismissing the 999 call for the NHS judicial review earlier this year, the court ruled that this argument was a political issue, not a matter for the court. But the Court of Appeal has allowed an appeal on all 7 grounds the campaign group's legal team applied for and has speeded up the process because the NHS is important to the public. Steve Karn, a 999 call for the NHS campaigner, said, quote, "Call it what you like, Accountable Care Organization or Integrated Care Provider. We can't see that this new way of paying NHS providers is lawful. And if it's introduced, it will restrict access to NHS treatments and accelerate the creation of a 2-tier health system. People with money will pay to go to private, while the rest of us make do with a limited NHS that operates like a health insurance company, putting financial considerations first," end quote. And there's a link for where you can donate if you'd like to help, blah, blah, blah. As usual, I'm going to be putting all of these article links into the video description in a bit. So at this point in time, if Ans Mundai or Anime Mun or Alex is still out there. I don't know. I don't see him in the antechamber anymore. And I don't know. He says his net keeps glitching out on him. Okay. So let me see if he wants to come in here. He was in the antechamber earlier, but I have changed the format a little bit here. In the past, I would bring people in, as I was doing the show. And I've now started doing a way a little bit differently, so that I read the news first and maybe talk about it a little bit, and then bring in guests, which is really, this is the first time I've had anybody who's wanted to come in since I started the earlier shows, as far as I can recall. Now, I did have a guest host last week, which was great, and I would love it if she would come back again. Guest co-hostess, and maybe, we'll see what happens with that. She did say she would be willing to help out occasionally at least, so we'll see how or when she wants to come back around. And I do like it whenever there is someone in here as I'm doing the show, because I can have someone to alert me in case anything goes wonky with the stream or whatever. But there's not a lot I can do if the stream is buffering and shit. That's either my ISP, or that's YouTube, or that's both of them. So I can only do so much on my end about that. The frames per second rate or whatever is turned down, so that it shouldn't be interfering too much, since there's not really any video being provided, just the occasional circle around the name of whoever happens to be talking, and the constant background image and the image of whoever happened, the avatars, icons, whatever you want to call them, of people who happen to be in the chat with me. So I don't know if he's going to come back in or not. He's not answering, but he does show a green dot on Discord, showing that he is here, awake and active, and so forth.
Dear God, was that long sidetrack really necessary?
Yes, it was, because nobody else is talking. What am I supposed to do? Just sit here?
Well, you keep talking like a freight train.
Well, I had to read the news, you silly boy.
Yeah, and you missed the North Korea-South Korea one.
What North Korea-South Korea one? I am not going to...
The one I showed you. Shush.
When did you show it to me?
Yesterday, the one where the Canadian general was like, no, there can be no peace, because...
Wasn't that a video?
That's a bad thing. What? No!
Oh my God.
That was Reuters.
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 It's a German name. And EU in German is pronounced Oi.
Reuters.
That's why Anheuser-Busch is actually Anheuser-Busch. But you try telling people that. I have no... Anyway. So is Alex coming in or not? I don't see him anywhere. It says we got 3 people watching. I saw Cats and Lady poke her head in a little bit earlier. Hello, if you're still out there. Cots and Babe. And nobody coming in to hang out with us and talk about these news articles. Well, you want to read the article about North and South Korea, Babe? Yeah, you can do it.
Basically, the blah blah blah. Basically, a Canadian Lieutenant General Wayne Erie said North Korea's push for a peace declaration could be a ploy to divide the U.S.-South Korean alliance and secure the withdrawal of 28,500 U.S.-based troops in the South. It's like, you have to question why North Korea is pushing so hard for that end-of-war declaration, he told an event at Washington's Carnegie Institute for International Peace.
Oh, good Lord. Oh my God, they want peace. They want peace. It's horrible. It's horrible. I'm like, what?
What will happen to my paycheck? I mean, world stability.
I tell you what. Well, that's just fucking weird, I tell you. Who's the guy again?
Canadian Lieutenant General Wayne Erie? E-Y-R-E. Wayne Erie.
So he's Canadian. That's kind of strange.
Yep.
I'd expect more of that kind of thing from American military-industrial complex types.
He can be on the payroll too.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, yeah, sure, why not?
Well, he continues to say the optimistic would say that he, Kim Jong-un, needs it for a domestic audience so he can change his ways and have a new approach. The pessimist would say it's another way to split the Allies apart.
Oh boy.
While saying that the current move of détente, whatever.
Détente?
French word. Yeah, détente, stupid French word. And negotiation had given hope for a process, quote, moving forward towards a lasting peace on the Korean Peninsula. Erie said North Koreans were experts at separating allies.
Oh my goodness.
Because, you know, NATO totally fell apart thanks to the North Koreans. The Brexit campaign was successfully coordinated from Pyongyang.
Yeah.
The USSR separated because of North Korea.
It's all North Korea's fault. Blame North Korea instead of blame Canada. From now on, we're going to blame North Korea. All right, then.
Oh, no, I'm still going to blame Canada.
Aw. You know, there was some guy on Twitter the other day who came in and started being a dick to us. We were having a sort of a discussion. It amazingly didn't devolve too badly about gun control versus Second Amendment. And this was one of the attempts to devolve it. This Canadian guy came in and started being an arrogant twat to everyone. So I told him, if you don't calm down, we're going to invade Canada and turn you into a client state or something like that. A vassal state, that's what I said. And he blocked me. He blocked me for that.
Goddamn Canadians.
I tell you, we need to just make them the 51st state, right?
Well, Canada has 5 provinces.
You got to do Puerto Rico first. They need statehood, so that they are properly represented in Congress and so forth.
Personally, I say we should invade Mexico. We end multiple problems that way. First, there will be no more illegals from Mexico. Second, the wall is already built. I mean, Mexico already has a wall on its southern borders. So they already built the wall for a huge source of cheap labor.
They have a wall on their southern border, really?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
you think our border's bad?
That's very interesting. No, I know. There are people coming up from war-ravaged countries further south, like Ecuador. El Salvador, Nicaragua. Honduras, of course, is a failed state at the moment because some fool decided they were going to turn it into Ayn Rand's paradise, and that didn't work out too well. Became murder capital of the world or something. Say again?
To build.
Do what now? I'm having some issues with your... Oh, shit. What's going on now? I seem to
You're cutting out.
No, you are. That's why I keep telling you to repeat yourself.
No, you're cutting out pretty hard.
Well, I can hear me. So what did you say now about...
I'm just saying. The wall will be easier to build. A lot easier. That's a lot less border to build on.
Oh, yeah, it's a very narrow area down there at the southern border of Mexico. Well, let's see here. Ah, I see what's happening. Hold on a second. Fucking antivirus thing is wanting to do a rootkit scan. It just started. Let me stop that if I can. Get it to respond. Oh, come on. Why the fuck you gotta do this while I'm streaming?
Because it hates you.
It does something, I tell you what. Come on, do something. I want you to stop the fuck. Stop this. Stop it. There we go. Come on, let me get you up here. Come on. Open, 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 open. Oh, but you were trying to open a web page. Yes, I was. You know, I'm on the computer active at the moment. You could do this when I'm not active, maybe. Like when I have to go to the powder room, or when I go into the other room, cook something, or when I'm eating. You know, any other time, but when I'm actually doing something. That would be the ideal time for you to run a rootkit scan, you fucking piece of fuck.
I keep telling you to uninstall it, but no.
I've still got, what did I tell you, 4 months? I've still got 4 months subscription. Why would I uninstall something that I've paid for, you goof?
Because it sucks.
No, it doesn't. It's actually a very good program. Well, assuming it will ever open now. It seems like the web page finally loaded too. I don't know what's going on now. Come on, open up here and show me this thing so I can stop it, will ya? Alrighty? Come on, come on, come on. Ah! What are you doing, you piece of fuck? Come on!
Be quiet.
No, it won't, it's not doing what... I told it to open up the rootkit thing so I can stop it, and it's just sitting there blinking at me like a piece of... Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to blame Windows 10 updates that I've gotten recently. So, what else did you have? Any other news? Huh? Holy shit. Oh my god. What in the fuck is going on? Ooh. Let go, you damn thing.
Does nothing.
Oh, it's finally gonna open. It says... oh, fuck. It's not responding, it says. I don't know what the fuck is going on. I hope that it just asked me if I wanted to end the process, and I was like, yeah! What is this? So, anyway, did you have any other news of interest?
Internet mob accuses the wrong Portland of lax policing.
Internet mob?
People... Yep. Gee, people on the mob get things wrong? I mean, the internet get things wrong? Hey, baby. People angry with Oregon cops mistakenly target Portland, Michigan.
Oh.
Let's see. The for the way law enforcement in Oregon's largest city has handled October 6th. Blah blah. I don't. Blah blah blah. Portland, Michigan has a population of under 4,000, and city officials say they've been on Facebook since October 6th. Since the October 6th protest, more than 2,000 miles away. The difference between the two communities is night and day. One encompasses 149 square miles, an hour's drive from a mountain range, and the closest beach sits on the shores of Lake Michigan. See, in 2016, nearly 8... No goddamn surprise there. Blah, blah, blah. So, in this cousin, Donald Trump won with 49% of the vote to Clinton's 42%. Yet, police and city officials in Portland, Michigan are being accused of letting mobs run wild in the streets. A narrative pushed by Fox News hosts like Tucker Carlsefni and right-wing websites like Breitbart and the Daily Caller. Hey, that's how the news article wrote it.
Okay. Say it again.
Like Tucker Carlsefni.
Tucker Carlsefni, huh? Well, now.
That's how the article wrote it. I'm just reading it. The flood of complaints prompted the Portland, Michigan city manager to publish a public service announcement clearing up any confusion. He also added the state to the local police department's Facebook title in an effort to clear things up, but to no avail. He quite literally says, City of Portland, Michigan. PSA, we're not Portland, Oregon. Since I authorized the creation of the Portland Police Department Facebook page in 2014, it has been a great resource for our residents and effective information. However, one issue that became evident was that of mistaken identity and some presuming we are Portland, Oregon.
Goodness gracious.
Directed at our PPD, and certainly not reflective of, well, certainly not reflective of, what now? Blah, blah, blah. And certainly not reflective of our residents. Within the past 24 hours, there has been an aggressive spike in complaints to the city and PPD, apparently involving civil unrest and Antifa groups shutting down streets in Portland, Oregon. It's important that our residents recognize the context of these complaints/posts and that they are in no way affiliated with the Portland Police Department of Portland, Michigan. Folks, the article goes on, folks have even filed Freedom of Information Act requests seeking records concerning Portland police response to protests, city officials told Wood TV. It sounds like a headache, but at least one commenter on the city's Facebook PSA may have pinpointed the source of the problem. I'm not going to say the person's name, but she does write, people can't read.
Okay. So, yeah, okay. Jeez, what the fuck? Come on, what the fuck? Stop. If it would ever fucking respond, it's like, now I've got... I might be able to turn it off if it would fucking respond. Oh, Jesus Christ, what the fuck? Can we please?
Tifa, they can do nothing wrong. It's in the name. They're anti-fascists. No, you're blocking a goddamn intersection.
Oh, that thing. Yes, I recall.
Yeah. Like, no, you're blocking a fucking intersection. You have one guy banging on the hood of your car. You have a fucking morbidly obese dude walking towards you.
There was some talk about... Was that a Lexus? That car was a Lexus?
No, you're either going to try and back out, or you're just going to say, you know what, fuck this, drive forward.
Was that car a Lexus?
I don't know.
Because there was something in the news today about someone had slowly pushed his car through a throng of protesters, and there was going to be an investigation about it. I'm like, yeah, well, investigate the protesters. They're out there banging on the car. What the fuck? And
yeah, silver Lexus.
Yeah, okay. So, and the amount of the amount of outrage or astonishment or whatever from the finally it opened so I can stop the goddamn thing. Stop now. Stop. 1% of the scan done, so how long it would continue to go, I don't know. Hopefully it will stop now and I can be free to continue what I'm trying to fucking do. Jesus Christ, I can't fucking believe this shit. Why would you start scanning?
Many people...
What?
I'm trying to get a word in and you're going blah, 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 blah.
I don't even know if I'm being heard or not. I can't see. It looks like my Discord is not responding now as I'm trying to get this goddamn thing to stop.
Trust me, everyone can hear you.
Oh, really?
Just anyone. Just me and whoever's still listening.
I think it's just us two right now. Well, it's really quite annoying. I just can't understand why these programs are not designed to do stuff when you're not doing stuff. Alex says his internet isn't going to be working right till he's able to switch over next week, so he's not going to join us this evening. Yes, it fucking finally stopped. Oh my god, it finally fucking stopped. I'm amazed. Just utterly, completely, and totally amazed. Let's see if this damn thing ever started responding. Nope, of course not. Why not? Okay, well, anyway, I was trying to get the articles all up so that I could, put the links in. Yeah, okay, so, let me just go ahead and put some of them in. So yeah, I saw something in the news yesterday, I think it was, about someone who had been driving a Lexus through a group of protesters, and there's going to be an investigation about it.
Was it a sedan?
I don't know, because I didn't open the article. I was like, yep, I bet that's what that is.
Yeah, because the guy who did it was in a silver sedan.
I just remember it saying something about a Lexus. I don't remember if it said sedan or mentioned the color or anything of the sort. So...
Well, people are defending them, and one of the defenses, if I can, find it, it's kind of buried in all the crap, is like, oh, he gave the middle finger to the protesters. That means he's a horrible person. It's like, this is who you're defending. Someone who gave the finger.
So fucking what? Really seriously, what the fuck? I don't know. So,
just trying to defend this. I'm just trying to freaking find it.
okay, well.
Blah, blah, blah. He's the both sides argument. Ooh, he's triggering a lot of people. That's by going both sides.
Yes, because one of these groups can't admit that they are ever wrong about anything. Or, maybe both of them, I'm not sure.
I still like my solution the best.
Let's not do that again. Alright, so. Come on up here and let me put this other. There we go. Alright, so I've had, geez, trying to dehumidify the room at the moment, but I don't know if it's working very well or not. It's rather chilly all day today.
I would also like to note that the protesters did about $3,000 worth of damage to the car.
Oh, goody.
And yeah, the police are looking for the people who did it, but good luck with that one. White male, skinny, in his 30s. Yeah, we got a lot of those in Portland.
Mm-hmm. So they're looking for the protesters or the driver?
They're looking for the protesters.
Oh, okay.
The police are. But it's like, good luck with that.
Yeah. Well, goodness gracious, it's actually surprising. I'm not sure what time did you get home. What was I talking about when you showed up?
I don't know.
You don't know. So you don't know about the two statues I talked about?
What statues?
A statue of McKinley in Anahata, California, and a statue of Thorfinn Karlsefni in Philadelphia.
Don't know who they are.
Well, President McKinley, William McKinley, was president of the United States back in the... He's the guy that got assassinated and Teddy Roosevelt succeeded.
Oh, yeah, that dude.
Yeah, that guy. So, apparently, there are a bunch of college students out there in California who don't like the statue of President McKinley because he was an imperialist.